Hi, my name is Lindsay Myers, and my ballet is going to be a contemporary ballet. I decided to base it on the Joplin tornado, which is where I'm from, and so I have created 4 sections to tell the story of what happened that day. My first section, I want the story to be about the tornado as it was going through town, as it was hitting. It will reflect things being torn apart, the debris flying, and what it was like to be in the middle of the storm. I would have it danced by Corps de Ballet, which is a group of dancers, and then I would have one soloist. And for my music, I want it to be an instrumental piece, maybe cello. I want it to have a really intense feeling, to give an intensity to the destructive mood. And then my costumes for this piece would be all of the dancers who are not the soloist would be in gray-toned flowing dresses, maybe like with a torn or layered look. And then my soloist would be in a red flowing dress to have that really bold statement of them being the focal point of going through this storm. And then for my second section, I would want this to reflect what happened in the next 6 to 12 hours after it had already hit town. I want this to be, the feeling of the confusion, the loss, the hurt of everything that was just destroyed afterwards, and not knowing where anyone was, being lost, don't know where to go. And so for this piece, I would want the music to again be an instrumental piece that would probably have a slower, more longing feeling to it. And then my costuming would be probably pedestrian clothing that was neutral colored, and then I would want it to be torn and made to look dirty, maybe have, dirt and stuff on the dancers themselves. And then for my next piece, it's actually going to be a lot lighter. It would be what I would title it, The Butterfly People. That, I don't know if you've heard a story about it, but a lot of the children that went through this reported that they had seen what they described as butterfly people. They had, wings or whatever, and they were pretty, they were colorful, and they saved them. They protected them and their families. And so to reflect that, I would want it to be something that is kind of angelic, has a light flowing feel to it. I'd want the music to be, lighter and maybe a little bit more classical. And then the costumes I would have be pastel, different color dresses. I would probably have a group of 3 or 4 female dancers for this. And then for the costumes, I would want them to also, on the costumes, besides them being pastel dresses, I would want them to have wings that come down and connect to the finger. And so they would also be in point shoes. I would like this to be a point section. And then for my last section, I want this to be more about all the help we received and the hope that we had. This will be the restoring and rebuilding that came from the storm. So I would want this to start out with a soloist who is struggling, trying to pick themselves up and put themselves back together, but they just keep falling and can't manage to get it together. They can't do it on their own. And so then a small group of people will come in and they'll carry each other. They'll pick each other up and keep each other going. And whenever one falls, you're there to pick up and help each other out through this. It's the rebuilding. We did it together. And so for this, I actually have a specific song. I would really like it to be To Build a Home, instrumental by Cinematic Orchestra. And so, it starts out kind of dreary, and then it picks up into a more hopeful tone. So this would really well reflect this piece. And for the costuming, I think I would just want it to be white flowing dresses on the females, and if there are any male dancers in it, I would like them to just be in light white colored, most likely, pants and no shirt. This would be to show hope. The white, reflects the hope that there is, and the bareness would be the strength of regaining, rebuilding, coming back, being raw. And then that would be the ending of my whole ballet. The place I would choose to present this would probably be my hometown, so that I could dedicate it to the progress that's been made since and to the lives that were lost that day. The first section of this movement, I would want the movement to be sharp and harsh. That way, there's a whiplash feeling to it. It'll make the viewers feel like they're out of control. They don't know what's going to happen next, because that was the feeling that you felt during the storm. And then for the second section's movement, I would want it to be more of a struggle. I don't want them to have an easy time. I want it to be, really difficult movement, but not big. I want it to be small and, struggling, pulling back. This will, portray the feeling of loss and pain and not knowing where to go, not knowing where anyone is or how to find anyone. It would be a lot of repetitive movements, because after that, it was, you just kept pushing through, even though you wanted to stop, you wanted to break, you wanted to just feel the emotions. You couldn't. You had to go find the next survivor. You were out there looking and searching for what you were going to do next. So there wasn't a break. There wasn't a moment to stop and think. It was just very repetitive all day. And then for my third section, I would want the movement to be a lot more light and graceful, more classical than the rest of this ballet. The section of, this movement section is meant to be hopeful and make the viewers feel like there's a safety and security within the dancers. They're protecting you. They're your guardian angels, for instance. And then for my last section, I want the movement to kind of go back to the struggle feeling, but, progress being made, so not as difficult, not as struggling. And then as the dancers join our soloists, it will become more of lighter movement, of uplifting. It'll be more fluid movements, and it'll portray more the light at the end of the tunnel and moving forward, growing, moving past the hurt and the destruction. I believe that is all the questions I have to answer, so that would be my idea for a ballet, and I hope you really liked the idea. Thank you.